So I did a book about 20 years ago on the black men who worked on the railroads known as the Pullman porters. And when I talked to the porters, they made me promise that when I got done writing about them, I would write two other books. One was on the favorite sports figure that they carried on their trains, and that was the fireballing pitcher and I think racial pioneer named Satchel Paige. And the other was of their three favorite passengers, three guys named Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, and Count Basie. And I think the reason the porters loved these jazzmen and the reason the jazzmen in turn loved the porters says a lot, not just about them, but about America. So when the jazz guys, even though Ellington, Armstrong, and Basie were three of the best known Americans on the planet, when they traveled in the 1930s and 40s and 50s below the Mason-Dixon line, if they made the wrong choice on where they tried to get a meal or to stay for the night, that could be a fateful decision. They could be berated and beaten and even end up at the end of a lynching noose for the simple mistake of having the audacity to try to eat or to sleep in a whites-only facility. And so what they did was something I think is quite brilliant. When they could afford it, and they could afford it for much of their careers, they would hire a private Pullman sleeping car to accompany them when they went south. And if they were performing a concert, let's say in Atlanta, at the end of the night, they knew they had a plush bed waiting for them made up by the Pullman porters. They had a delicious meal cooked by the dining staff of the Pullman car. And most importantly, they had the serenity of knowing that they would have a safe place to be. And what they did in return for the staff on the Pullman car is in the middle of the night, they performed a private concert in the closed capsule of that railroad car. And I don't know about you, but if I could go back to any moment in history, it would be for the Duke Ellington Orchestra to be playing all night just for me.
That's especially after a long evening's worth of work.
It was.
What a way to unwind. That's incredible. So tell me a little bit about that promise. Like, you took up that mantle. You said yes.
I did. And I took up that mantle for a very simple reason, which I think that sadly, race remains the story of America.